Metaltech 4x4 FJ Cruiser front two bumper installation guide. We're going to have the hardware pack that comes with it. You're going to have a bolt kit, and in that bolt kit you're going to have some 3/8 inch washers. You're going to have some 1/2 inch lock washers, 1/2 inch washers that are grade 8, 1/2 inch 13 grade 8 nuts. You're going to have some 3/8 16 nuts, 12 by 125 metric bolts. You're going to have some 1/2 inch long grade 8 bolts, and then you're going to have 1/2 inch 13 grade 8 bolts. Notice that there's two long ones and two short ones. The short ones are going to be used for the side brackets going to the frame, and the longer ones are going to be the winch mount going to the side brackets. 3/8 16 bolts that are used for the optional solenoid accessory mount. So we're going to start by taking the front factory bumper off. Just go ahead and pull the plastic clips out. Don't forget about the hidden little bolts in the wheel wells. Get those released. The headlight bezel with the Toyota logo on it has got a couple of bolts that are going to take out. Once the bolts and the small clips are out, then pull the front grille and then go ahead and get ready to yank the bumper off.
It's supposed to pop up and just, it's a simple anchor point like that. But after time, these get brittle, they get stuck in there a lot.
Give them a pop and the bumper skin will just come right off the front of the truck. Next, take the crash bar off the front of the truck. The crash bar is the factory front part, the metal piece that's held in there with those 4 bolts on either side. Save the nuts because you're going to use those again. In the corners of the truck, you're going to go ahead and remove the large honeycomb plastic clips that this factory bumper clipped onto. We find it easier to remove the center section while we're putting the winch in, and this part is going to come off and will not be used again. Next, you're going to drill out the existing 10mm threaded hole that's right behind the front frame mount, and you're drilling it out to 1/2 inch. Take your time with it, and then once you've got it drilled out, there's a bunch of remaining bolt on the inside. You're going to go ahead and chisel it out. Use a cold chisel and a hammer, and it just comes right out. A couple of hits and it's clear. The winch mount, the side plates go on using the existing 12mm bolt that's already in the frame. You may need to clean those threads up a little bit. And then that hole that you drilled out, the 10mm hole that you drilled out to 1/2 inch basically, and you remove the 10mm bolt that was in there, or nut. We now have the 1/2 inch bolt that slides in, and you just have to reach through the frame with your finger. And we have you can put a piece of tape on a wrench and stick it back there. You can put a piece of tape on your finger and stick it back there. I just reach back there and put it on there and tighten the bolt down, and it catches and goes on. But those are the side plate bolts. And then the side plate itself is now, both side plates are on, and we're going to make sure they're a little loose because we got to pull them to the side a little bit to get the winch mount on. But these are ready for the winch mount. So what we're going to do is, using hands only, no tools, because we don't want to collapse it, we're going to come in and bend this line back with our bare hands very carefully. And what we're doing is making that winch mount go across. Now once we put the winch mount bar on, we're going to verify that this is clearing just fine. As long as it's clearing fine, we're good. We just want to make sure there's a nice 3/8 plus gap. We do not want this rubbing on the winch crossbar, because if it does, it will wear a hole in this line and you will lose your AC. So don't do that. Just bend the line back. We've been doing this for years. Nice clean radius. Make sure it clears once it's on. So your bolt kit has 3 different size 1/2 inch 13 bolts. There's a long one, a medium one, and a short one. The long one is used in the lower part of the front winch mount. The medium-sized one is used in the top part of the front winch mount. And the shorter one is used in the side plate through the hole that you drilled earlier. And the side plates are bolted down to the frame. You'll notice the winch crossbar can actually adjust left to right. And that adjustability allows you to center the winch for best clearance and also just for the best fit on the truck. Slight little adjustments, then go ahead and tighten the bolts down. Okay. So winch mount is now on. The side plates have been bolted on. We've tightened everything down. Everything's been torqued down. The studs on the frame are exposed, ready for the bumper to slide on. So this is the time that you would install a winch if you're putting a winch on. This is completely usable. You could put a winch on this and winch your truck. You don't need the bumper. The winch is 100% independent. So this is when you would bolt your winch on. Take your time, sit on a bucket, take your time bolting your winch down. Be careful running all your wires. You can run all your winch leads, loom your leads up, bring them all up behind the headlight and into your engine compartment. But most importantly, right here is where we're going to make sure that we have clearance. We've made sure that the AC dryer line is bending and coming up and clearing, and we don't have any way that this is going to come in and make contact with our mount. Now there's a bracket that goes here that holds the AC dryer line normally way out here. You can take the bracket, give yourself a little bit of padding, and you can like zip tie or hose clamp the bracket or this to the bracket so it helps keep it from moving around. I highly recommend that. But the winch mount itself, once it's bolted on, bolt your winch on, and then when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and put the tube bumper on, shoot the bolts in, and actually the tube bumper will be done. Once the winch mount's on, pick up your bumper and go ahead and slide it right onto the studs. Have a couple of nuts ready to go ahead and slide on to tighten down to hold it in place. All right, so once the bumper's on, you're going to notice the factory wheel well liners hang down. I mean, that's how far down your factory wheel well liners hang. So our approach angle is obviously massively improved, which is great for an IFS truck. But we need to cut these down, and it's just a plastic liner. I'm going to cut it with a standard box knife. You can use a cutting tool if you want of other sorts. Just be careful, don't cut yourself. And once I cut it, I'm going to drill a small hole in the liner in the back. And I'm going to use a zip tie, and I'm going to zip tie the front leading edge of the wheel liner up into a natural hole that's already existing into the body. And that's going to keep the wheel liner from wanting to flap and roll back into the wheel well. So once it's cut, I'm going to put the drill in there and then through the plastic liner, and then I'm just going to zip tie it in place, and then we're going to be done.